I don't think I intentionally meant to like get in the water, but I was in the Keys and we like go in the water and I was wearing a necklace or something and you're supposed to take all your jewelry off. But I was a newbie. So nobody told me, hey, take your jewelry off, but they're very attracted to the sparkle.
Yes.
So they were just very territorial. They swim in rectangles. And this one, my dad says I practically ran on water. I was like,
well, I bet.
Yeah, I did.
See, I told you, you're like the bait. So you really were. You had the necklace on.
Literally, yeah, exactly. I knew I was setting myself up for that one.
She's opened for Scotty McCreery, Jared Neiman, and John Michael Montgomery, and she had an appearance on a couple of singing competitions you might be familiar with. Angie Rey is here today. Welcome, Angie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's talk about, I always like to talk about, American Idol.
Oh my goodness.
The Voice.
Yes.
So you were on both of those, right?
So I was on when I was 13. I did The Voice, but it was the Spanish version for like little kids.
Okay.
So it's kind of a different twist on it. It was season 1. It was the very first time. That was so fun, such a cool experience. Just because like, when you're little, it doesn't really feel like a TV show or competition show, and they do your hair and your makeup, and they feed you, and they bring things to your room, so that's nice. And then at 15, I did American Idol, and that was a little bit different just because I was the youngest girl on my season, so it was a very different experience when it came to like, hey, we need you in your call times, things like that. It was very much more competition feel. Everybody was kind of neck and neck with each other. So it's very different, very cool experiences, but very different.
So on American Idol, how far did you go on American Idol?
So I made it through, there's a bunch of producer rounds that happen before cameras even air. So there's that. Then after that, you go into the judges round, which I honestly don't remember anything at all, except for the only thing I remember, it was Keith Urban's eyes were so blue. Like it was the only thing I remember. I remember nothing else. There was that audition, then there were the 3 rounds of Hollywood Week, and then I made it to the end of Hollywood Week right before Lives, and that's when they cut me.
Okay.
So I made it far for 15, although
yes,
I don't entirely think I was ready for it.
Well, that's pretty young to be doing something that big.
And it takes a huge like emotional and physical toll on you. So I remember going home and like they do feed you and give you food and like.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, but they do it in a way that like you feel like this big, huge like deal.
Right.
And so I remember going home and opening the fridge and my mom, like I stood there, she's like, you stood there for so long. And she said, back to life, back to reality. And I was like, yeah, and it really does feel that way. It's
where's the gourmet food?
I know. I'm like, where's my servants? It's so bad. So, but they do put you kind of through that feeling of a superstar, and I think that's kind of what's cool about the show.
But, well, it's prepping you for everything that you've got going on now, right?
Yeah. Well, I've discovered my love for cooking, so I don't necessarily need a chef, but I do. I do like that experience for sure. How could you not?
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh my! I learned how to make. It actually sounds way more complicated. It's like a salmon Wellington.
Ooh,
it's so good.
yeah.
I love fish, I know, and I love like peppered tuna and things like that. I'm definitely a seafood girl.
Okay, well, so let's talk about. You talked about your mom.
Yeah.
Your family. So
Yes.
you're first generation American
Yeah.
here. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, so I was born in Southern California. My parents are both Cuban, and along obviously their parents and their parents. I have 3 brothers. One is a half brother. He was born in Cuba as well, but I grew up with him as my brother, so he's like my brother. Then my 2 other brothers were born in California with me. My mom came from Cuba. I think she was very young. She was like 3, I think, and she came and traveled and did a variety of different things. They went through like Mexico and then ended up in Canada and then ended up in California.
Wow.
Yeah, so this huge thing. And my dad actually floated here on a raft back in the 90s.
Whoa.
Yeah, so kind of cool story. It's very interesting to talk to him about it. And he's like, I was like, Dad, would you do it again? He's like, no way.
No,
He's like, that's
really?
he says it's so dark you can't even see your hand in front of your face.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said that like it's not like a boat. It's like the like inner tubes that you blow up for your pool,
Right.
like that, but 2 stacked on top of each other.
Holy moly.
And I know, and it was him, his brother, and one other guy. And they like float here and get picked up by the Coast Guard. At the time, there was a dry foot rule. So if they made it to the United States and touched land, they were safe here. They did not. They got picked up by the Coast Guard, so they got moved to Guantanamo Bay, and then my dad lived in Guantanamo Bay for 9 months, and he said that was like the coolest experience ever. They gave him like free Converse and food, and he's like, we didn't have that in Cuba. I was like, okay, Dad. So it was like a vacation for 9 months. Yeah.
How interesting. What a story of perseverance, really,
yeah,
too.
He's very much for chasing your dreams. And really, I mean, who in the right mind?
Right.
I mean, you really have to want something really bad to do that. He also tells stories of like sometimes you would see other rafts that were empty or rafts that were sinking and you can't help other people, you know, and that's just not in my dad's nature. He is so much of like a helper, like he wants to help everybody. He'll give you his own shirt. So I know that was always, he'll be like, I would never do that again. I was like, okay, Dad.
Well, he was young, right?
He was in his 20s,
right?
for sure. So he was very, very young.
Wow. So now you said you have 3 brothers.
I do.
So what's it like being
the only girl?
The only girl in all the brothers.
It's good and bad. It's definitely good and bad. I'm definitely like, I've been the girl that will dress up. Like I had mentioned to you before we started, I love high heels. I'm always in high heels, skirts, very girly, but I also have my like, get down and let's wrestle kind of moments. And I'm like, I always tell people that I'm like part boy. Like I really think that I am just because I grew up with these 3 guys and they're not little dudes. Like they're big dudes. They've all were athletes. My 2 older brothers were baseball. My little brother played hockey. Now he's a fisherman. So and they do all kinds of stuff. But it's been a cool experience to be. I missed out a little bit on the sharing of clothes, but I still steal their clothes. I have a sweatshirt. I was on FaceTime with my brother yesterday, actually, and I was wearing this sweatshirt. It says "Baseball is Fun," which is a company that somebody we went to high school with. He played for the Rays and made this. He was in the World Series and did this thing. Brett Phillips, and Brett has this company out now called Baseball is Fun.
Cool.
And I was wearing this Baseball is Fun. He knows it's not my sweatshirt; it's his sweatshirt, and he's like, is that my sweatshirt? I'm like, do you think that's my sweatshirt? I was like, that's not my sweatshirt. That's your sweatshirt. Of course it's your sweatshirt. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I just wear it. But
He's been wondering where that sweatshirt went.
It's been gone
right?
for months. It's been gone for months. And now, or he came and visited me. And I do say like, oh, you know, I'm so girly and I would love to steal girl clothes, but I am notorious for stealing boy clothes. Like I'll go visit them and I'll go to sleep in their t-shirts, shorts, and I'm not even the same size. I'll just like tie a like rubber band to shorts.
You could probably make fashion out of their clothes,
easy,
right? Yeah,
easy.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
for sure.
Well, let's talk about music.
Yeah.
So here you are, this beautiful Cuban woman in Nashville making country music.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you started in music.
I started actually in acting when I was 5 years old. I booked my first job when I was 5 and then fell in love with music. I think his preschool teacher told my mom that I was just yelling over everybody else. She's like, I don't know what it is, the ABCs, this and that. And she's just yelling over everybody else. And my mom swears by it. And she's like, okay. So she took me to a vocal coach and I was so shy, like so shy. It was so uncomfortable. My mom paid my vocal coach and I would sit there and not say anything. And we would stare at each other for the hour lesson. And then obviously you take their time, you got to pay them. So my mom pays a singing coach, and Ray, who's my older brother, the one with the baseball jersey or the baseball shirt, he was very easygoing. He did all the commercials with me. So, and
cool.
he's way more charismatic than I am, like way cuter than me, just everything, and so much more full life. And so he booked everything and he was very easygoing. And my mom said, Ray, will you please go to singing lessons with your sister? I was 8. And the singing coach goes in with my brother and I sing, my brother sings, and she comes out and goes, I just want to let you know your son has the most incredible voice. And my mom was like, that's great, but he doesn't want to sing. It's her that wants to sing. And so I think it was that, and then like instilled in me that like I needed to bust my butt to be better than my brother. And it was like this little, I'm very competitive, so I needed to be better. And it took like maybe a year or a year and a half, and we had a singing recital. And he sang Wanted, Dead or Alive, that one, and forgot the words on stage. And I was like, this is my moment to shine. And I blew the roof off the place. I killed it. And it was like in that moment that I just started like constantly singing and just recording videos when like YouTube had first become a thing and all those things. And I loved music. My family's very, there's always music in the house. My parents don't play instruments. They don't do anything, but they met dancing. Oh, cool. So it's a different way of, I think what they say about me and my voice is it was so much God-given. Like they don't think that it was like something that was around me. My mom played piano when she was very young and saved me her piano from when she was 15. And it's actually still in the garage, I think, at my parents' house. I ended up buying myself a baby grand piano.
Oh, cool.
But they just always had music playing. My dad always had music, even though it was Spanish music or different kinds of music, there was always something going on. Dancing, singing, and on New Year's Eve, they sent me a video, and it was them singing and dancing, and I was like, this is so fun. I was like, this is part of why I love music.
Yeah. So you have a new song out.
I do.
This is your third single.
Yes, it is.
Jezebel.
Jezebel.
So let's talk about the song.
Yeah.
Tell us about the song.
It's one of my favorite songs. The first moment that I heard it, I was like, I love this song. So much of it for me, and I love high energy songs to a fault. I love ballads. It's what I originally started doing. I started in blues and soul and those kinds of songs. I did a lot of Etta James and that kind of style of music, and I fell in love with that. But then I got into live performances and stage and things like that, and I loved the energy of the crowd when it was high speed music, high tempo, all those things. So when I heard Jezebel the first time, I was like, this song is amazing. It tells such an incredible story. And it's so funny because it's not a story about me. It's not a story like that. It's a story about other people. So it's more like a narration of it, which is kind of cool and different. But it's done in such a manner that it really paints a perfect picture of what's going on in this world of Jezebel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be playing that for us.
Yes,
in a little while, so
sure.
that's exciting too.
Yeah.
So you've worked, downtown on Broadway here in Nashville. Kind of, got to get that in, right? I saw some video. Can you tell me about the what is it? The duck funnel?
Oh. Yes, that was actually over in Florida. We went and traveled, which shocker. I feel like if it doesn't happen in Nashville, I feel like Florida's the other option.
Yes, exactly.
So that was actually somebody I knew that I was not expecting there. So it was a show during Gasparilla, which Gasparilla is this event that goes on in Tampa, Florida, and it's the invasion of pirates. So they do this big boat parade, and the pirate ships come, and it's like Mardi Gras, but on the water. Right. And so then the pirates give the key back to the mayor. So it's this all day party. The parade starts at like 9 a.m. and it goes all day until 6 p.m. Well, my show was at like 8. So everybody was already like
pretty happy at that point.
They were goners. And this particular venue is called Welcome to the Farm. And it's a brand new bar down there. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of got the same vibe as like a downtown bar feel. But when we go up on stage and I see my brothers were at this show. So they walk in and I'm like, oh, my brothers and their girlfriends are here. And then this guy walks in and I know who he is because he's my little brother's friend. And my little brother is a degenerate. I love him and he's so fun. Like we are best friends, but he brings all his little friends and he'll invite everybody. And this guy had just pulled out a duck funnel. And I'm a lightweight. Like when it comes to alcohol, it's like one high noon and she's dragged on the ground. Like it's that kind of feel for me. I remember him walking in and I was like, oh my God. I was like, this guy. And I was like, I can't not experience what it's like to have this duck funnel right now. So we just messed with it the whole time. And that's what that video was.
So it's actually a funnel that is a duck.
Yeah.
It's
so they love duck hunting. My brother and his friends all go duck hunting. And it's been this like newfound love for them that they've kind of started doing within the last year. So everything that they have is like duck related. So that was kind of
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, did you do some deep sea fishing not too long ago?
I do. I love to fish.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a
hear about
necklace.
this.
Yes, I have a necklace that is a fish hook, and I looked for it this morning and I couldn't find it. I wear it all the time, but I think I left it on the counter somewhere and I can't find it now. But I love to fish. It kind of started a few years ago when we moved to Florida, and my little brother loves going offshore fishing, and I'm not an inshore fisher. Like it's really tough for me to inshore fish just because I don't understand the purpose of like catch and release. Like I don't want a fish hook in my mouth and just to be put back, now I'm bleeding, now I'm sad, and now it hurts to eat. Like I complain with anything in my mouth. So if I'm going to catch it, I want to keep it, I want to eat it, I want to, cook it and all that. And so we go offshore fishing, and I am notorious for catching the biggest fish of the trip and catching sharks. That's my specialty. I catch every shark in the world. It's ridiculous. So it's like, or I'll bring something up that's like really nice, and then all of a sudden this like shark will I'm just like,
I knew he was coming.
Nothing. I know, and I should have known. It happens all the time, but I'm like the lucky one, and I don't know if it's just because I go out there and I'm like so ready to kill it that I think it's just like I get good luck in that way. Like good energy brings.
I was going to say, I think it's the good energy.
Yeah,
it's kind of like you have this light. It's
yeah.
like they're like, ooh, it's something shiny.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They come straight to you.
It's funny because we'll go fishing with my brothers, and they'll sit out there and they'll be like, why does she always get the first one? Why does she always get the biggest one? And I'm like, I'm just that good.
That's right.
And so it's very competitive. It kind of creates a good environment when we go out there.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so more music. Do you do any music in Spanish? And are you planning to do any music in Spanish?
So I'm sure we'll cross that bridge eventually. There is my next single that's going to come out. We're working on it now. It's called Who Is This Girl?
Okay.
And it's kind of I really wanted to bring some Latin elements into country music. There's so much that ties in. People think it's not the same, and it's very different. There's a lot of differences in it, but a lot of the thoughts behind country music and a lot of the thoughts of what is a Spanish, a Latin family are very, very similar. So like there's God, there's having a good time, there's high energy, there's fun, there's love and passion. And that's very, very, very neck and neck with country music, even though it's just in a different language. So for me, it's kind of creating that bridge and gap where my love for country music and still ties in a little bit of that Latin flair that makes me who I am. So in Who Is This Girl, there's a lot of like Spanish guitar in it. So it's kind of a cool different take. It's in English, but there are Spanish flavors in there, which is something that I really, really love in that song. And I'm sure eventually we'll get somewhere where we'll cut something in Spanish.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to be playing some music. If you want to see her performance, you can catch the link in the description. And when we come back, we're going to be playing my world famous game, Truth or Truth.
It's Truth or Truth.
All right, it's time to play my world famous game, Truth or Truth, with Angie Rey. Are you ready, Angie?
I don't know. I'm nervous.
Oh, it's easy.
Okay. Let's see. What's the scariest thing you've ever done? Oh, I feel like a lot of my answers are going to be water related. The scariest thing I've ever done was actually go diving with a barracuda. That was so terrifying.
Really?
Yes, so scary. I've like been in water with sharks and other things, and the barracuda really freaked me out.
That would freak me out.
That was a really, really scary one for sure.
Okay, well, how did that happen?
I don't think I intentionally meant to like get in the water, but I was in the Keys and we like go in the water and I was wearing a necklace or something and you're supposed to take all your jewelry off. But I was a newbie. So nobody told me, hey, take your jewelry off, but they're very attracted to the sparkle.
Yes.
So they were just very territorial. They swim in rectangles. And this one, my dad says I practically ran on water. I was like,
well, I bet.
I did.
See, I told you you're like the bait. So you really were. You had the necklace on.
Literally, yeah, exactly. I knew I was setting myself up for that one.
Okay, she survived. Okay,
I'm good. I'm
walked
good
on
now.
water,
Yeah.
lived to tell about
That's
it.
right.
So, that is scary.
Let's see. What's the worst physical pain you've ever experienced? Ooh. Probably my appendix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had appendicitis, and I think it was. It's funny because I don't do well with needles or anything like that. Nothing related. So even like now, I have really, really severe eczema, and I get an injection every 2 weeks, and it's just. My parents asked me for videos of it because they don't believe that I'm going to do it because it's a needle. So I'm like, of course I'm not going to do it. So there's that. But I remember during my appendix, it was. The next day, I was supposed to get my blood drawn, and my mom was like, "You're just being dramatic. Like, you're not." And I was like, "No, woman, like, take me to the hospital." I was like, "This is worse."
Oh, how
and
funny.
she was like, "Oh, okay, so this is serious." And I remember like bending over. I slept on it the whole night.
Wow.
And I went and I'm good now.
Yeah, exactly.
After the barracuda, the appendicitis. Okay, what's next?
Okay, we need a different theme, maybe. I don't know.
Let's see. What famous person do you think you look most like? This one I get a lot of is, what did I just tell you? I feel like I just told
Mariah
you.
Carey?
No.
No?
It's Celine Dion. That's what it is.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, I get that a lot. That's probably my most common comment on my facial features more than anything.
Celine Dion. And then somebody said Cher.
Yeah, but I'd never heard that one before.
I think it's probably more the hair than anything.
I think most people will be like, oh, she has curly dark hair. So then they'll compare me to everybody that has curly dark hair. And I'm like, just because we have the same hair doesn't mean we look anything alike. Just because we look the same from behind. I've gotten a lot recently too. Was Shania Twain is the other one, but I think that's also curly hair.
That's probably the curly hair.
Yeah.
Too. Have you ever had lighter hair?
Yes, I've been blonde like you before.
Really?
Yes, I've gone through a whole phase of color. So my hair is naturally dark, and I like it. I think I'm good with it dark.
Yes.
But I went through this phase where it was like straightening my hair every day because I wanted to look like all the other girls and be blonde. And that's in Florida, everybody's blonde, straight hair, long, straight, beautiful hair. And I was like always the girl with curly hair. And I was like, I have to do my hair every morning because if I don't, I have an afro, and I just didn't know how to do it. So I would just straighten it, and then my mom would be like, "I'm gonna throw your straighteners away."
Well, I love that you've embraced it.
Me too. It took a long time, but
it's your
do.
style and
It
your
is,
look.
it is.
I think it looks great on you.
Thank you.
So yeah, don't go back to the blonde. You don't want to look like that.
Well, it kills my curl too. Blonde hair will kill your curl,
yeah.
so it'll really make it straight. And I think that was what a lot of my problem was.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
So I like it dark.
Well, I do too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for playing the game and
course.
being here today. Angie Rey, you can follow her on all the socials.
Thanks for watching Up in Country. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment. We do new episodes every Tuesday, and be sure to follow Up in Country on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And you can follow me too at Sue Bonzell on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.